Let's take a quick review of Ozymandias. First and foremost thing, Ozymandias is a sonnet. The sonnet is a popular classical form that has compelled poets for centuries. Traditionally, the sonnet is a 14-line poem. Percival Shelley, he has written this poem. It's a radical, he is basically radical in his poetry as well as in his political and social views. American literary critic Ash Bloom describes him as a superb craftsman. Ozymandias' meaning. Ozymandias was one of the Greek names of Ramesses II. Ozymandias was a powerful king of ancient Egypt. This poem is about the ruins of his statue said to have been found in the Sahara Desert. Let's check the context. There is an interesting story about how Shelley was inspired to write the spoil. One evening, Shelley and his friend Horace Smith are discussing Napoleon's conquest of Egypt. They talked about the statue of Ozymandias, and an Egyptian ruler was also known as Ramesses II. Their conversation led to a competition between them, and they both decided to write a poem on the statue. Both poems tell the same story, however, Shelley's poem is more popular. So this is the context. What was the reason to write this poem? Then, in this poem, Shelley describes the broken statue and reflects upon the impermanence of earthly things. The king, once powerful, is no more. His relic, the statue, is broken to pieces and will soon crumble to dust. Time destroys everything and nothing is permanent. It was published on June 11th, 1818, issue of the Examiner in London. The poem was composed to show the fragility of life and fame and to remind that nothing lasts forever. All right, as far as if we talk about further, the king, once powerful, is no more powerful and time destroys everything. Ozymandias, composed by Percival Shelley, is a masterpiece establishing the philosophy of life through irony and sarcasm. The shattered and ruined statue of Ozymandias is itself a glaring example of irony, as it was engraved with the word, "Look upon my work, ye mighty." Now his very own word is mocking on his vain pride and arrogance. The poet, through this irony, wants to highlight the utter futility of human efforts to immortalize them and exposes the theme that everything, irrespective how powerful would be, must be perished or ravaged through the passage of time. Further, if we talk about its rhyming scheme, so its rhyming scheme is A, B, A, B, A, C, D, C, C, G, E, F, D, F. Who was Ozymandias? Already we have discussed, was the Greek name for Ramesses, who, according to the biblical scholar of Shelley's time, was the Pharaoh of Egypt, who oppressed the captive Hebrew and opposed the wishes of Moses. To free them, he had many huge buildings and monuments constructed in his own honor. Let's check the imagery. Shelley has also used imagery in it. For instance, here, the vast and trunkless, half-sunk, shattered visage, frown and wrinkled lips, sneer of cold command. These all are the examples of imagery. Then if we talk about literary devices, first is alliteration, and we know alliteration is the repetition of the same consonant sound in the same line of the poetry. Legs of a stone, a stanza, snare of cold, command, command, then boundness and bare, the lone and the level sense stretch. These are the example of alliteration. Enjambment. Enjambment refers to the line that ends without any punctuation mark, and in simple words we can say the enjambment is an idea which basically move from one line to another line. And that's why the writers, the poets, they do not use punctuation mark, because they want to move one idea into the next line smoothly. For instance, who said two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in desert near them on the sand? Here in this line, this is the second line of the poem. After it, there is no punctuation mark. Why? Because the same idea has been moved into the next line. And then tell that it's sculpture while those passions. Now see here, this is again in this line, there is no punctuation mark, and then smoothly the idea has been moved into the next line. Metaphor. There is one extended metaphor used in the poem. The statue of Ozymandias metaphorically represents power, legacy, and command. When we talk about extended metaphor, it's mean a metaphor which is throughout discussed in the poem, which has been extended. Personification. Personification means to use human emotions for inanimate objects. He has used personification in the poem twice time. The fifth line, and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command, refers to the broken head of the statue, right? However, the lifeless statue Ozymandias is referred to as a real person. Then the second example in the sixth line of the poem, we tell that it's sculpture while those passions red, shows as if the statue is commanding the sculptor how to carve or express his emotions. Then assonance is the repetition of vowel sounds in the same line, such as the sound of in stand and sand, and sound of in well and read. All right. Consonance is the repetition of consonant sounds, such as half sunk, a shattered visage lies whose frown. Irony. Irony is a figure of speech used to present the opposite meaning of the words. Means in simple, when you say something, it doesn't mean the same. Ozymandias' description presents what? Him as a mighty, great, and fierce king, but in reality, there is nothing but a broken, lifeless statue. Thank you. Here it was a quick review of the Ozymandias. Hopefully, you have basically recalled everything. Thank you for your precious time.